Hello, everyone, and welcome to Circuit Stream's Pitch Day, where we'll be honoring the class of our 2022 graduates from the fall. Before we get started, I would just like to begin with maybe a few quick housekeeping notes. So first off, I like to make sure that everybody can see me okay, everybody can hear me okay. Feel free to use the chat off to the right there and let me know if that is the case. I can see some hellos and some thumbs up. Perfect. So with that, the chat is off to the right-hand side. There's also a questions tab. There won't be a formal Q&A at the end of this event, so feel free to use the questions tab and the chat tab throughout the entire duration of the event. You can ask the speakers or the students anything throughout, and we'll do our best to kind of answer and keep on top of that. And then I also like to invite everybody to share where they are joining us from. I am joining here from Calgary, Alberta, Canada, as is Arkatyiis. But yeah, feel free to put it into the chat onto the right-hand side there and let us know where everybody is joining us from. Calgary, Vancouver, Penticton, BC, Toronto. Yeah, we've got all over the place. So welcome everybody. LA. Oh, you're down in LA, Will? That's nice. Awesome. Okay, well, without further ado, we can kind of move along here. So what I will do is start by introducing the team here. I'll let everybody introduce themselves, but we can start off with Arkatyiis, our Student Outcomes Manager.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. So as Tyler said, my name is Arkatyiis Miller, but people can call me Arky. I am the Student Outcomes Manager at Circuit Stream, and I've also had the honor of helping our learners prepare their presentations today as their one-on-one career advisor. Over to you, Tyler.
Perfect. And so, yep, my name is Tyler Trapp. I manage the partnerships here at Circuit Stream. I've been with the company for about 2 years and have kind of moved around into a few different roles. But yeah, I've been here for about 2 years and work on the partnership side right now. And I will pass it over to Mondae to introduce himself as well.
Perfect. Thank you. Hey, everyone. My name is Mondae. I am a Bootcamp alumnus, as well as a few other Circuit Stream courses. You've probably seen me in some of the demo days as well. As well as I am currently a senior production engineering manager with Bungie. So super excited to be invited back to host this pitch day and really see the pitches. I'm excited to see what's coming out of the bootcamp. And yeah, I will pass it back to you, Tyler.
Perfect. And you can go ahead and flip to the next slide. We're just going to take a quick look at the schedule for today's event. So we are in the event kickoff right now. Take about 10-15 minutes, just some brief introductions here. Then we are going to go ahead and pass the mic over to the partners to introduce themselves from different studios and associations and to provide a little bit of support for the students. And then we will get into the bulk of the presentation today, which is the graduate pitches. Should take about 75 minutes or so to kind of get through each of them. We're starting off with King of the Board and finishing with the Galactic food truck simulator that you can see. And then at the very end, we'll do a quick little wrap up with some information and just kind of provide some more information in terms of how you can connect with each other after the event. So with that being said, we can move on to the next slide there. I'd like to give a quick little overview of Circuit Stream as well. So we were founded in 2015 through a network of developers, designers, and creators who were pioneering the virtual and augmented reality ecosystem. Circuit Stream saw a huge need for education and training for both extended reality and for Unity development that would empower people to build games and applications to advance the industry's frontiers. So that's a little bit history on Circuit Stream. You can go to the next slide there, Mondae. So our courses are also available through our university partners. People are able to take our courses directly through us, or they can connect with any of the university partners that you see on screen. And our courses are available for each of these. In the presentation we have today, we actually have 2 students from some of these partners. I believe we have one from UBC and we have some from UFT as well. So they'll be able to introduce themselves. And I'm going to go ahead and pass this over to Arky to explain a little bit more information on the Developer Bootcamp.
Okay, so of course, this pitch day is the final result of our Unity Developer Bootcamp, which is now called the Unity Game Development Bootcamp. It is a 30-week intensive live online bootcamp designed to help launch the development careers of new talent. To that end, what really sets this program apart from our other courses is that it is a career track with a dedicated career program that runs parallel to the technical program. Upon successful completion, learners are Circuit Stream certified Unity developers and have all the hard and soft skills required to launch a successful career in Unity 3D development, which I will share shortly. Next slide, please. So for today's event, we are showcasing 8 graduates, 6 of which are seeking employment, and 2 of which are seeking mentorship and industry connections at this time. We will see a total of 5 presentations today, spanning multiple genres of particular interest to our learners, including strategy, horror, retail, and sci-fi. And lastly, our graduates are located in Canada and the US. A few are open to relocating for work, and all are open to remote work. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned earlier, Bootcamp is comprised of a technical course and a career course that do run in tandem. Hard skills that the learners gain through the technical course include C# scripting, collaboration tools, application development, agile development, API integration and persistent databases, and debugging and optimization. Next, please. So soft skills. This is where the career course was really crucial. Between our career coach, Diana, delivering the labs and myself conducting the career 101s, we guided the learners through developing their communication, adaptability, proactivity, taking on a growth mindset, and special emphasis on teamwork and collaboration. Next slide, please. Which brings us to our event today, Pitch Day. Next. So what the learners are presenting today are their capstone projects. Learners were provided with a set of requirements with the goal of creating a minimum viable product within the span of only 4 weeks. So all the projects you're seeing today had a very, very short span of time that people were working on them. They were able to create a project that was of personal interest for them. And they could choose to work solo or with others as part of a team. So you'll see a little bit of both today. Next slide, please. And so before I pass this back to Tyler, I just want to offer my sincere congratulations to all of our graduates. I know how hard you've worked and you should be so proud of yourselves. It's been such a pleasure getting to know you all these past 6 months and helping you leverage your strengths. And I'm looking forward to continuing to help you all in your career goals in the next 6 months. So congrats. Over to you, Tyler.
Perfect. Thank you, Arki. So I'm going to touch on our talent network a little bit here before I officially pass it over to Mondae to begin the presentation as our host. Our circuit stream is committed to supporting the Bootcamp alumni with their careers and personal development. We take responsibility in connecting learners with industry partners and with networks. You can go to the next one there, Mondae. So for anybody who's interested in joining our talent network, our partners gain first access to our global alumni and talent. They get exclusive invites to connect with our career-ready graduates, assistance from the Circuit Stream team to source talent, presentations to our talent network, the ability to post and search for roles within our community, and they also receive features at events, on websites, and on our materials. A little bit about our talent network. And then we have a much larger partner portfolio overall, but I just wanted to do a little bit of a partner snapshot to highlight some of the people who are in the room with us here today. So all of the logos you see on the screen will either be representing somebody who will be speaking or will be representing somebody who's in the audience. I see you there, Lucy. Perfect. And then I'm going to officially pass this over now to our lovely host for the day, Mondae, and I will let you go ahead and start introducing the partners there.
Very cool. Thank you, Tyler. All right. So before we actually begin the learner pitches, we did want to take a time to introduce our industry partners that were able to join us here today, give them a chance to introduce themselves. And, if you have some inspiring words from the learners, we're happy to have that as well. If I can, there we go. So the first industry partner that we have joining us is from GoodbyeWorld Games, William Hellworth, who is the CEO and founder. So William, if you're here in the audience and want to jump on stage, I will pass the mic to you.
Hey, looks like it's all working there.
Yes, it is.
Will, I am the founder of GoodbyeWorld Games. As it says there, we're most well known for our debut game, Before Your Eyes, BAFTA winning, was the game that you might know as the one that uses the blinks in your webcam. I have been working as an indie game developer and a freelance developer specializing in XR since around 2014. And I am an ex-instructor for Circus Stream, and that's where I actually met Richard Beer, who is the lead engineer on Before Your Eyes, who did the actual like hard machine learning, big brain stuff on the Blink tech. I'm always passionate about students, and people are curious about learning about game design. As the Down Aging says, anyone who doesn't cherish a student or respect a teacher may be clever, but is profoundly lost. So that's why I'm here. Can't wait to see all of your pitches. And just from the little bits that I've seen already, I'm very impressed with what you've done, not only in 6 months, but in your first 6 months. So I'll let the next person come up, but excited to see everything.
Thank you for joining us, Will. Excited to have you here as well. All right. Our next industry partners are from Inflexion Games. So we have Sarah Bailey, who's the senior talent partner, as well as Drew McCauley, who is the people and culture generalist. And I will turn the floor over to you all to introduce yourself.
Awesome. Thanks so much. You can hear me all right? Awesome. Hello, my name is Drew. My pronouns are she, her, and I am the people culture generalist at Inflexion Games. We are a game studio headquartered in Edmonton, Alberta. Our studio is currently developing a shared world survival crafting game called Nightingale, which is going into early access release this year. One of our trailers is attempting to play on the screen right now. It's a little laggy, but that's okay. So one of my roles here at Inflexion is managing our internship recruitment, and I'm always looking for folks like yourselves to join the gaming industry.
And I'm Sarah. My pronouns are she and her. I'm the senior talent partner here at Inflexion Games, and I work with all the potential candidates looking to join the studio.
Yeah, we just wanted to congratulate all of the presenters today. We're really looking forward to seeing your pitches.
As a studio, we recruit across several areas such as art, audio, programming, game design, production, publishing, and business operations. My biggest tip for you breaking into industry is networking is your friend. Do you use tools such as LinkedIn to arrange informational interviews, reaching out to experienced people in the industry and asking them for advice, showing them your work, and gaining some face time can make all the difference for getting your foot in the door. Drew is posting our links in the chat if you'd like to explore further information on the studio or find out more about Nightingale. Also, if you're interested in joining future playtests, do sign up for our newsletter and follow our socials for upcoming events.
All right, fantastic. Perfect, there we go. Well, excited to have you all both here. The trailer looks awesome. It has a lot of elements of games that I'm already like super excited about. Thank you both. Next, from Digital Alberta, we have Alicia Peters, who is the executive director. Alicia, if you want to join us on stage and tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. It's super exciting to be here. I'm really inspired by this desire for learning and growth. And I think it just represents the fact that you don't have to have a linear path to education and to, building up different skill sets. So thank you for having me. So Digital Alberta is the Interactive and Digital Technology Industry Association for our province. We are laser focused on creating the conditions to grow the ecosystem, particularly obviously around IDM. We represent 100 plus companies, studios, organizations, post-secondary institutions that are, across industries, whether that's entertainment and game development and game studios, from indie to AAA, as well as the deployment of technology across industries. So how interactive digital technologies are digitally transforming primary industry. So especially things like on the serious game side as well. And I would just say that one of our strategic pillars is around building that next gen of talent. So this lines up really well in terms of, the priorities that we know. What are the conditions? Well, we need to ensure that we're fostering that talent development. And so Circuit Stream is a really valued partner in that. And I'd also just say that thinking of some of the organizations that are here today that are also foundational members and members of Digital Alberta, so Unity Technologies, of course, one of our foundational foundational members, as well as great to see Inflexion Games here. The COO of Inflexion Games, Scott Nye, is also our board chair. So we've got a lot of folks leaning in. And one thing I would share would be resources. So we're always obviously trying to create opportunities for students to get engaged and learn and build their network. So we have a webinar coming up that's free to attend. It's on May 17th from 11:30 until 1 p.m. That's Mountain Standard Time. And it's really about focusing on that market viability. So if you're interested in potentially looking at building your own studio at one point, or you just want to understand more about the foundational elements, Jason De La Roca is going to be our guest and host for that session, talking about market viability and competitive analysis as you're thinking about things like genre selection. So welcome you to attend that. You can find us on LinkedIn. And if you have any questions, by all means, feel free to reach out post session, and good luck on your pitches today.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Alicia. Excited to have you here.
Okay, I'm exiting.
There we go. There we go. Lost the screen for a second, but we're back. Next from Niantic, we have Lori Palladino, who is the Senior Program Manager of Recruiting. Lori, if you're there. There we are.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can. I will turn the floor over to you.
All right, thank you so much. Hi, everyone. My name is Lori Palladino. I am coming here from Niantic, based out of San Francisco myself, and super excited to be here. As Mondae mentioned, and my pronouns are she and her. As Mondae mentioned, I am the Senior Program Manager of Recruiting Programs. And what that means is I care for our apprenticeship, internship, internal transfers, and events programming within recruiting as part of our people team. So most of you know Niantic from Pokemon Go, but beyond kind of our big hit games, we have several other games. One that I'll just have to plug real quick right now that we launched this week called Peridot, where you can kind of Tamagotchi style raise your own virtual pet, breed it. It's completely unique to you, and then you get to breed it with other players' Peridots to make another completely hatch a new Peridot. That's super awesome. One of the things we're really excited about is that this is our IP. So this is a fully AR game, different than our other playing that we've done as part of our games in AR. It's fully AR, and the IP is ours. It's so adorable and enchanting, and I am in love with my Peridot. So I won't plug it anymore, but it's super fun to play, and I recommend you check it out. But that was all built on our AR development kit called Lightship. It's our platform. It's what we use to build all of our games. And I would also encourage all of you that are interested in continuing to develop to check out the toolkit itself. It's a place that everyone who's interested in developing can build their own products off of. Niantic is really grounded in continuous learning for all of our employees, and we look for that in folks that we hire into Niantic. And so super excited to be here with a group that's clearly committed to that, as well as the growth mindset. It was very exciting to see that as well, and your approach. And I just wanted to thank you for including me today. I'm super excited to see all of the pitches. And I know it's nerve-wracking to go through this process, but please know that all of us here are cheering for you. We're so excited to see what you've got to share, and really want to see you succeed. And I'll let it go from there. Thanks so much for having me.
No, thank you for joining us. Really, really great to have your words here and your presence.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right. And our last industry partners joining us today are from Bungie. So we have John Meadows, who's the program manager of early careers, as well as Samantha Patrick, who's an associate recruiter. So I will invite you both to stage now.
Hi, thank you so much for having us here today. We are so excited to be here and see what comes of Pitch Day. My name is Samantha Patrick. I am an associate recruiter here at Bungie. I use she, her pronouns. And on our early in careers team, we interact with students and who are graduating from college recently, and we also think those people would be a great fit for our internship programs. And we also interact with those who are looking to transition into a new career here on our early in careers team. So it's really exciting. Might be some of you, but I'll pass it over for you all to meet John.
Thanks, Sam. Hey, everybody. I'm John Meadows, use he, him pronouns, and I'm the program manager for early careers. Our early careers team started a little over a year ago as a dedicated team, and we're super excited to come and see all of you, to see the projects that you have going on in Pitch Day. It's really exciting to see all of the partners that have joined, to see all of you talk. And I just want to plus one what everybody else has been saying. Don't get too nervous about talking to everybody here. We all started somewhere. We've all made career transitions and learned things. We've all been in those shoes. So we're just excited to see what you've been working on, to hear about how you did what you did too. So a little bit about us here at Early Careers. We work across a variety of disciplines. So we exist purely to serve the business and serve the people that are coming into the gaming industry at the level where they're just coming in and getting experience. We know that people have some ramp up time. We know that people don't have industry experience, and that's a-okay. Sometimes it's awesome to have that perspective. I've also made a transition into games after already having a career. So, I know what that world's like. That's why you'll hear many of us talk about it being a career journey, because it's really a journey with different paths that you take. And one of the things that we want to encourage you to do is to continue to network, continue to get to know the people like us and other folks that are doing different roles or positions that you may find yourself interested in. Connect with us, talk to us about things. There's so many people in our industry that just want to encourage everybody to pursue it. It is something that we want you to do. We want you to not sideline yourselves, but talk to people like us. And that's why we're here. Like everybody else that just spoke before us, we're all really excited for what you're doing and the fact that you're pursuing it, and that pumps us up. We're talking about the growth mindset. That's huge, no matter which company you're looking at or which position you're going for. So when you're doing this, just know you've already done the big thing. You're doing it. You're doing the thing. So please feel free to connect with us. We'll toss some links in for LinkedIn connections, and we'll toss some links in for our career site. You can look at that just to learn more about Bungie and who we are. Destiny is a game that we have that has a new season coming out in less than 2 weeks. So get into that. Feel free to learn more about us and use that as a kickoff point when we talk on LinkedIn. Thank you, everybody. Good luck today. It's going to be great.
Perfect. Well, thank you both for joining. Really enjoying your presence here as well. And hopefully you like what you see. All right. So jumping right into the reason that all of us are here today, the actual pitches from the learners. So Tyler kind of already did a high level of the agenda for today, but just to solidify it again, we're going to start off our pitch sessions with a pitch by Leonardo de Andrade called King of the Board. From there, Ash Weis is going to do their pitch, Don't Take the Last Bus. After that, we actually have a group pitch. It's a group made out of Michael Law and Arielle Hope called Meteor Defense. After that, Julio Serrano is going to take the stage with VR retail experience. And then we're going to end today, last but definitely not least, with our biggest group that we have for this pitch day. They call themselves Thank You 5, but it is a group made up of 4 learners, Molly Carroll, Steve Rector, Owen Lin, and Leo Andrade. And their pitch is entitled Galactic Food Truck Simulator. So before we jump in, I know all of our industry partners have said it. Arky and Tyler both said it before they jumped off the stage. I just want you all to hear it from my mouth as well. Good luck. As a learner who did my pitch day as well, I know that you're probably right now feeling a mixture of like nervousness, anxiousness, excitement. All of these industry professionals are looking at you, and it's kind of like a living, breathing resume. But I think John said it the best as his exit during his thing. Like, you've already did the thing. Like, your pitch is here, your project is here. Enjoy your moment in the spotlight, and really just good luck. We're all excited to see your pitches. We're all excited to see what you guys have been able to develop. So knock it out of the park. And with that, we will jump right in. So Leo, I will invite you on stage, and Leo's pitch today is called King of the Board.
Thank you so much, Monday. Thank you, everyone, for being here today. Like Monday said, my name is Leo Andrade. I am currently looking for a job in the game development industry. And today I'm very excited to share with you my game, King of the Board. go to the next slide, please. Before we get started with the actual game, I want to tell you a little bit about myself. I was born and raised in Brazil, and I moved to America in 2013, so about 10 years ago. This may come as a surprise, but I'm a huge video games fan. I'm a huge board games fan as well, and I love my sports. As far as game development goes, I am a certified associate programmer in Unity and C#. I have some familiarity with Unreal and C++, and I'm also certified in Python. Also, before we get into the game, I want to share with you a little bit about my game development philosophy, which I believe is a really crucial part for everyone to see. We can go to the next slide here. What I was thinking about before I came up with this game. I was doing some research, and I think there is a huge difference between what makes a game great and what makes a game forever, a forever game. A great game is that you can play once and you have an unforgettable experience, right? You love it, but you never go back to it. Right? Maybe it's a single storyline. You really enjoy it. You remember it forever, but it stays there for a long time and you might never touch it again. Whereas a forever game is a replayable experience that always brings up different adventures, whether it's a different storyline or different items that you can pick up or different power-ups that you can get. It's always something different every time you boot up the game. And I think that live streaming is one of the key things that makes a game forever. If a game is enjoyable to watch and if a game is enjoyable to play, that is what makes a game forever, because it just lingers in the trending topics of today's age, right? Which is why I came up with the sentence when I'm developing any game that I want to make games that are as exciting to watch as they are to play. So you might be asking, what makes a game exciting to watch? What is fun to watch? And I think that there are 4 core concepts that makes a game exciting to watch. You don't have to use all of them, but the more the merrier. I think multiplayer games, round-based games, and then especially competition and wide skill gaps. So this would be your League of Legends, your Fortnites, your Destinies, so on and so forth. Those are really exciting to watch. And you might ask, why wide skill gap? Well, there's a really interesting quote from the Association for Psychological Science, which is that the more people watched others, especially experts, the more they felt they could perform the same skill too. So if you have a game that is really enjoyable to watch and that requires a lot of skill, people will watch that for hours and then they will go on to buy the game because they want to be just as good as the person that they're watching. So using multiplayer, round-based, and competition, I created my game King of the Board, and it's a deck building RTS-style multiplayer card game where players build and reinforce their kingdoms by buying and playing better cards according to their strategy. So you can choose to be really aggressive and attack right away, or you can play a little bit more of a defensive role, make some alliances, and build your stats and your gold before you really go to war. Of course, the last kingdom standing is the winner. I took inspiration from 3 of my favorite games. They'll pop up here on the screen in a second. Risk, that's where all the battling idea comes from, right? You choose a target, you choose someone to attack. Hogwarts Battle, which is a co-op deck building card game. But in this case, obviously, my game's not co-op, you're competing. And then Catan, which is the idea that you'll see in a second of gathering materials and using those materials to build and reinforce your area. This all started about 6 months ago in October of 2022. I had the idea for the game because it's something that I know I would really enjoy playing with my friends. And so that's when I started gathering important concepts from those games that I just talked about. Brainstorming different cards, because I think that a card game like this really needs a wide variety of cards, and then thinking about what the player would be looking at, which is when I moved on to pre-production. So I gave the game an official look, right? The art is not fully done. That's part of the polishing that's going to come with, but I know exactly what the player is going to be seeing on the screen. And then I had to figure out what steps each player could take in a turn, because it's a step-by-step thing. From that point on, I wanted to implement the actual functionality for one single player. So have the player be able to go from drawing their cards all the way to ending their turn. And once that was done and complete, I moved on to the multiplayer implementation, which is happening until now, because of course that's the biggest challenge of this game, as you will see soon. For that, I needed to create turns. I needed to make each player be able to perform all the functionality, as well as sync all of that information across the network to really give the vibe that you're sitting around the table with your friends. And I think that shows in this demo that you're about to watch. I know it's going to be laggy because of sharing screens, but I hope it's not too bad. So you can go ahead and play Monday, please. Welcome to the demo for King of the Board. I developed this server client multiplayer game using Photon 2. Right here, we're joining the demo room with all the different players and starting the game with the master client. Once the game loads up, you will see one player board per player and that each one is seated across a different colored kingdom, really giving that feel that you're sitting around the table with your friends. I use a state machine to keep track of whose turn it is, which is why you will see that only player 1's drop button is available. The same state machine also keeps track of what part of the turn the player is in. Once the player presses the drop button, 5 random cards are instantiated from the draw deck. Scriptable objects hold the data for the card, so when they're instantiated, the card is set up with a random scriptable object. Now the player is in the play phase, where they can choose to play a card or just discard it. If you choose to play it, the game will automatically perform the card's task. If you choose to play your attack card, you will be prompted to commit however many units you want to the attack. This number depends on how many buildings of that type of unit you've built. The attack phase itself is another state machine that controls all the different parts of the attack. Once you select your target, all of your player units will move towards that player's kingdom and start attacking it immediately. Each unit type deals different amounts of damage and attacks from different ranges. I used object pooling to instantiate all of the projectiles at the beginning of the attack and animation events to activate the object at the correct time. Your units will battle until they cease to exist, and that is when your attack turn will finish. Once that's done, you'll be taken back to your board where you will start the build phase. Add walls to increase defensive stats, banks to get more gold per turn, or any attacking huts to increase the number of units you can attack with. This is where your strategy comes in. How do you want to play it? What really makes the game unique is being able to buy cards and cater your deck to your style of play. This is done at the end of your turn after your build phase. You can buy however many cards your gold allows, and remember, whatever you buy won't be available for your enemies, so use that as part of your strategy. Once the player chooses to end their turn, we go to the following player until only one player is left standing. Hope you enjoy the game and can't wait to see you on the battlefield.
Just wanted to jump in, Leo. I think you're still on mute.
My bad. Of course, I hope you guys enjoyed watching that as much as I enjoyed making it. Of course, as a solo developer in 6 months, there are several challenges and takeaways that come out of the game. Here are just some of the most important ones. First one was creating the deck logic from scratch. Of course, a non-negotiable on a card game, right? And for that, I had to learn about the implementation of scriptable objects, as I mentioned before. That way I can really only have one card object and just load up the card data every time that a card is instantiated. Then I had to learn how to implement the logic for the turns, not just the player turns, but also the turn within a turn. So each thing, the step-by-step that a player can do during their own turn. That's when I learned about state machines and became a little bit of a state machine enthusiast. I love it. And it just makes the game a lot more scalable and a lot more reliable and a lot easier to read and think through as well when you're making it. Finally, the biggest challenge, like I mentioned before, was multiplayer implementation, which, as you can see, comes with several sub-challenges. Here are some of the ones that I came across during the last 3 months or so. Making the check marks appear correctly in the lobby may seem like a silly one, but that took me a little bit of time. Instantiating and updating the card bank across the network was a little bit difficult as well. This is the part in the game where you can buy the cards from. And then updating the health bar for every player, as well as having one health bar just per player. To fix all of those, that's when I had to learn the difference between RPCs, events, and streaming, and really become familiar with those so that I know when to implement each one exactly. I had a little bit of a bug with player.actor_number. If you know Photon, this might be familiar with you, but this is usually how you keep track of the number of the player in the lobby, so 1 through 4. But there's a little bit of a bug, or not a bug, it's just part of the class, that if you join the lobby, then you leave, and then you join again, your actor number actually goes up by 1, and that would, of course, affect the game in general. So I created a support script that will always number the players 1 through the max number. That way it's a nice 1 through 4 per lobby. And the last challenge is changing the master client, which is something that I'm currently doing right now, which can actually take us to the next steps here, both for the game and personal. Next slide, please, Monday. So for the game, it's to finalize multiplayer functionality, right? So like I said, finish changing the master client. So whenever a player leaves, maybe they rage quit because their friend betrayed them. or they just lose. I need to deal with that. Need to create a lose condition as well. So when health gets to 0, that player gets pulled from the game. I also want to develop a wider variety of cards where here the sky's the limit, really. I want to develop different kinds of attack, different kinds of defense, different things you can build, different ways that you can farm, maybe trading. And then finally, I need to polish the art and the audio. So that means card art, animations, as well as some sound effects, just to really give it that full game look. Personally, like I mentioned in the beginning, I am looking to start a game development job as soon as possible. I'm also accepting internships and mentorships to really get the foot in the door. And a personal goal of mine is always to continue growing and learning. That's why I joined this bootcamp in the first place. That's why I've taken the time to learn about other engines, because I believe that with the way the world changes and technology changes so often, this is the only way that we can keep growing into being a better game developer. With all that said, here's my contact information. Thank you so much, and I'll be taking any questions.
All right. Well, needless to say, I'm sure you haven't been keeping an eye on the chat while you did your presentation, but I think you got a ton of fans in the chat. So job done, Leo. I love the dynamic of pulling inspiration from like Risk and Catan, definitely. I'm an Uno fan, and Uno has destroyed my family many a night, and I can see this being like the new family destroyer game. So yeah, great work. State machines, I think Indica threw it in the chat, state machines save lives. So the fact that you were able to grasp that concept and implement it so smoothly, I think goes to show a lot to how you've grown. So your question that we have from our industry partners was really something you've kind of touched on, and really this might just give you the opportunity to elaborate on it a little bit more. But the genre that you've decided to dive into for your project is very saturated. I mean, there's a whole aisle in Target just for board games. And so knowing that and looking forward at like the marketability of your project, what were some key features or like key components of your project that you intentionally implemented to make your project stand out from like competition that you might have in this section of the industry?
Sure, that's a great question. Thank you. And I think that what differentiates this game from other games is really the fact that it takes strategy points from all of those games that I mentioned. So you really have nowhere to run. So for example, the way that this is different from Risk, right, is Risk, you would place your units, you would choose, oh, I want to attack my friend this turn, and then my other friend this next turn. But now you have to think not just with how many units you're going to put there, but also which cards are you going to buy, right? Like you have to think in the beginning, do you want to build 10 banks and only gather gold so that you can keep buying cards? Or is the better strategy to buy fewer cards, but better cards, right? Because cards cost different money. So you don't want to just build up your deck with crazy cards that might not really help you. You have to pick and choose what strategy you want. And I was just fascinated by this idea that every part of the game has a strategy. Even if you decide to play or discard a card, right? You might choose to attack in a turn, or might have an attack card in a turn, but you might be like, no, my alliance didn't attack me last time. I'm just going to discard it for now. I don't need it. I feel good not attacking anyone, not making any enemies. So I think what makes it really different is that every single part of the game is strategy based, which I love strategy games. I don't know if you can tell, but that's kind of where I was going with that.
Very cool. So for everyone watching, we got it on record that the developer of this game said that you need to form an alliance to win. I don't know if anybody else caught that, but I definitely took mental notes. Well, Leo, definitely excited to have you. Fantastic way to start off our pitch sessions. Great game. It looks like it's already done, but from what you were saying, you got a little bit of work to do, but excited to see it, come to market, hopefully very soon. For everyone watching, whether you're an industry partner or someone in the audience, if you want to get connected with Leo, his contact information is on the screen. Like he said at the beginning of his pitch, he is looking for job opportunities as well. So if you want to connect with him for general purposes or for job opportunities, please do so there. And Leo, I will send you backstage. Thank you again.
Thank you.
All right. Our next pitch for today is called Don't Take the Last Bus, which was actually developed by a solo developer, Ash Weis. Ash, welcome to it.
Hello. How are you?
I'm good. How about yourself?
I'm doing great.
All right. Well, the floor is yours. I will turn it over to you.
Cool. Thank you. So my name is Ash, and I'll be showcasing a VR game I developed for Oculus Quest 2 called Don't Take the Last Bus. Next slide. Yeah, so this is a picture of me before the pandemic, and this is how I am now. I'm a little less My Chemical Romance, and my hair is a bit healthier. A bit about myself: I'm Fijian. My mom's Fijian, my dad's German. I'm an avid gamer. Thanks for the laughs. I like to play Sea of Thieves with my brothers. I have 3 of them. It's quite fun. And I actually used to be in the music industry for about 7 years before I became an XR developer, writing, performing, syncing songs to TV and film. And during COVID, I decided to pivot and pursue a lifelong dream of mine, which is getting into game development. I started off with Python and using Codecademy, and started using Unity on my own, and was inspired to take a few courses at Circuit Stream, and there are some certificates that I've earned along the way. Next slide, please. So Don't Take the Last Bus is kind of a thriller horror game for Oculus Quest 2. The player has to interact with multiple passengers to escape the bus, and players act kind of like a ferryman for passengers who have passed on, and you must fulfill their desires to get them to move on to the next life. Next slide. Some of the inspiration I had for this game was Spiritfarer, a game that had a similar concept. You ferry living beings off into their afterlife, and I love everything Hayao Miyazaki, so this scene in particular from the film Spirited Away inspired me, as well as the game Limbo, although I like the sequel to it more. It's called Inside. Check it out, it's pretty good. Next slide. Yes, and this is a video of some of the gameplay and some of the things that I did.
Hi, my name is Ash. I will be showing you a game I made for Oculus Quest 2 called Don't Take the Last Bus. Don't Take the Last Bus is a chilling VR game that places you as a passenger on a mysterious bus ride. The only way to get off is to engage with your fellow passengers and fulfill their needs. The first thing I did was set up an XR rig. I found rigged low poly hands from the asset store and created custom hand positions. I created a custom teleportation reticle and added a walking sound to the player's movement. I found a low poly bus on the Unity asset store and imported it. I then populated the seats of the bus with various character prefabs. I found simple sitting and standing animations and used them for each character. I made 16 passengers interactable with the XR rig's grab pointers. Their meshes change color when targeted. Every passenger has a dialogue trigger script that triggers a dot tween animation and opens a dialogue pop-up. I used prefab variants for dialogue pop-ups. All of the UI buttons make a sound when clicked. I created scriptable objects to hold dialogue and icon data for each passenger. Icons pop up and fade when the passenger's needs have been fulfilled. A game of blackjack can be played with this passenger. I used a scriptable object to hold the player's inventory data. It keeps track of items that have been collected or given. Some passenger mini-games can only be unlocked after completing another passenger's needs. A game of tic-tac-toe can be played with this passenger after you give them a can of pop. I created a difficulty setting for this mini-game and decided to keep it set to easy for playability. A game of hangman can be played with this passenger. I had the most fun filling out words for this game. I decided that if you lose at hangman, you lose the game and have to restart. I created a jump scare and added a scream to startle the player. A game of cat breed hangman can be played with this passenger. I like cats, and I thought it would be fun to guess cat breed names. I included the game rock, paper, scissors. I added a demon running alongside the bus to creep the player out. I implemented a pause menu and a fade screen whenever the player changes scenes. Animated the windshield wipers and synced them to the sounds in the background. Implemented a road manager that spawns tiles in front of the bus and removes them after a specified distance. Animated the steering wheel. Made the bus move back and forth horizontally at a specified rate. The headlights flicker on and off in varying intensities. Added rain and splash particles. Made the fog particles pause and restart at a specified rate. Created an audio mixer. Routed all the sounds in the game to their respective channels and adjusted them. Don't Take the Last Bus is available on itch.io. My name is Ash. Thank you for watching.
Sweet, so I hope you enjoyed that video, as well as the sibling chat. So here's a timeline of the things I've done in the past few months to get this game off the ground. In January, I had a dream around my birthday, and I decided to take that dream and create a game out of it. I sourced all the assets for the bus and the passengers and things like that on the Unity Asset Store and other sources as well, and imported them into the level 1 scene. And in February, I made everything in the level 1 move. I animated all the passengers and such. I developed the dialogue scripts and UI elements. I made the passengers interactable, and I started programming the tic-tac-toe, rock, paper, scissors, as well as hangman and cat breed hangman. I actually learned some new cat breeds, and I failed a bunch of times at my own game because I couldn't remember them. And then in April, I created an EPK, a final build, and published my game on itch.io. Next slide, please. Some challenges. It was quite challenging creating games within games. Once I was in the zone, I couldn't stop making them, and I would have done more if I had the time. So it was a challenge creating those games and getting them to interact with UI elements in a VR space. Optimizing for Oculus Quest 2 was a challenge, but I use low poly assets for this reason. Managing dialogue and interactions with passengers as well as working alone was quite challenging because I have so many ideas and just not enough time. Some takeaways, I think overall, I improved my ability to refactor, optimize, animate, organize, program, and efficiently prototype. One time I static batched all the passengers and the bus just kept going off by itself with one headlight, and that was a pretty funny scene. Next slide, please. Next steps. I want to build it for more platforms, including WebGL and PC. I also want to create a more immersive storyline. It's not really where I want it to be, and I'm more of a storyteller. I also want the passengers' heads to move when you're talking to them, and experiment with ChatGPT's NPC dialogue, kind of like what people are doing with Skyrim mods. And then I had an idea of creating a space that could be an area where people can talk to their loved ones after they've passed on with their digital imprint, which could be kind of scary. And yeah, I don't know. It's just a thought. Next slide, please. Feel free to contact me. There's a link to my portfolio. You can check out the games I've done, things I've worked on, my LinkedIn, as well as my email. I'm always looking forward to networking and creating new opportunities for myself, as well as others. You can even contact me to play D&D if you want, or Sea of Thieves. I'm always online. Next slide, please. Thank you so much. It was fun. I had a great time working the past 6 months during this course. I learned a lot, and I hope everyone stays tuned for the rest of the projects. Everyone is talented, and I'm really excited to see their capstones.
Fantastic. Oh, great. I love the fact that you thought the digital imprint was the scary part, not the actual jump scare that you have built into the game.
Oh, no. You know what? That's not scary to me anymore. I've played
Gosh.
so many horror games.
No, that is where I draw the line. As soon as I can't just turn off the game, if I have to take something off of my head, I'm like, no, it can just kill me, or whatever's going to happen is going to happen.
I know what you're talking about. There's this game called Devours I play with my brothers, and I was screaming just from jump scares like that. And I got that idea from that. But anyway.
No, couldn't be me. Well, yeah. Well, I will actually go back one slide just to get your contact information back up for anyone who needs it.
Yeah, sure.
But overall, great pitch. You know, I think you already know if I haven't said it verbally, but I'm a great fan of your work. I still have your mobile game on my phone and I play it on and off again. But the question that we had from our industry partners with you was really focused on a lot of the details that you put into the game. So looking at your pitch and hearing your explanation of the project, you took a lot of time to create a very in-depth space and storytelling by those very small details that you added in, you know, syncing the windshield washers, making it so the bus wasn't driving in a perfectly straight line. It kind of sways back and forth. But in your project planning, how did you go about determining what would be something that you could accomplish in your MVP versus what are things that would be cool to have, but not right now?
Oh. Wait, can you reiterate over the last part of that question?
Yeah, just really getting to the point that you're at now with your project, like, you know, it's published, but how did you determine what features were going to be key to have in this published project versus things that you can explore later on and maybe like an expansion to this or a version 2? Right.
Well, I think it's easier for me. The way my brain works is to work on finer details. I just, once I start, I can't stop. It's a thing. And I tend to go overboard, like that windshield wiper thing, like that's a little bit overboard. But I also want to showcase my skills and my ability to pay attention for a long time to little things that might be mundane to some people. But for me, I think paying attention to detailed work pays off in the end, creating a more immersive environment. Playing video games definitely inspired me to think this way. I would say The Witcher, for example, is a great game I love. They pay attention to a lot of details, and that just makes you feel more consumed and kind of not want to leave these games, if that makes sense. I'm the kind of player that has to complete everything. I have to find all the Easter eggs. I have to get 5 stars in all the missions, and I pay attention to the various dialogues that are going off when you're walking around in The Witcher, and like how the objects are different in every room they've created. So that's just the way I work. Yeah.
No, absolutely. Yeah. If you didn't 100% a game, you didn't really beat it. Like, no, it's not done yet.
Yeah. I spent like a month trying to beat the last mission of the newer Crash Bandicoot. It's like one of the hard platformers, but yeah.
Oh gosh, no. Well, cool. Well, thank you again. For anyone watching, if you want to get connected with Ash, you know, take a peek at the portfolio. If you want to, you know, go to itch.io and actually get hands-on with this experience, their contact information is on the screen. Ash, thank you again for presenting one of your projects with us, and I will send you backstage. Thank you again.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you, everybody.
Absolutely. All right. Our next pitch is our first group project of the afternoon. So this pitch is called Meteor Defense, and it was developed by Michael Law and Arielle Hope. So Michael and Arielle, I'll invite you both to stage now. Oh, there we go. Hello, hello. How are y'all?
Hi, doing great. How are you?
I cannot complain. I already saw 2 good projects that I'm anxiously going to wait to download. This will definitely be the 3rd already. But I will turn the stage over to you all to present us with your pitch.
All right. Thank you so much. So hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be talking about our capstone project, a game called Meteor Defense. You can head to the next slide.
My name is Michael. I'm a designer and programmer for this game. I'm a recent Ontario Tech Bachelor of IT graduate, majoring in game development, and I'm looking for an internship or a job to build upon that. I'm also nervous as heck right now, but I'll try my best not to trip over my words.
You're going to be great. I'm Arielle Hope. I was the UX designer, 3D modeler, and general asset creator for Meteor Defense. I am currently working with Lightshed and Who's Metaverse, which is where I am right now, actually, to teach AR, VR, AI, 3D capture, and other metaverse concepts at the Boys and Girls Club of Harlem. Right now, I am looking for mentorship and networking.
The decision to team up came after we talked about our strengths and weaknesses, and we determined like I excelled at scripting, whereas Arielle was pretty good at making 3D assets. Also, we connected over the idea of having the player in a defensive role in our game. And next. Talking about our project, Meteor Defense is a game where the player moves a shield around the planet to intercept falling meteors. The inspiration behind this was in part Missile Command, where in that game the player intercepts incoming missiles with missiles of their own. And another inspiration was a Defender-type original character of mine, whose signature item is a shield that can project a larger version of itself.
We really wanted this game to be sort of pick up and play and casual to a little bit hectic, but still feeling like something you can pick up and put down at your leisure. And the 3D aspect of it, the 360 version aspect of it, led to us think about different ways of protecting this tiny little planet. Next slide.
Development started with ideating on a Miro board. Here we organized the ideas around main game elements such as meteors or the cities, and eventually we built up a good idea of what we wanted for this game. And next. With the ideas of what we wanted down, I created a class responsibility diagram to plan out how I would initially structure my code to get the result that we desired, capping off the planning stage. Next. To start building the game, I gray boxed the play area, sorting out how we wanted game objects and the UI to be positioned.
Once he had done all the gray boxing, I started to work on prototypes of some of the assets we were going to be using and sort of figured out the scale, how everything would look together. We didn't quite have a theme at that point, but as we went on, the more thematic elements that were added in, the more we were able to find a kind of vision for what the project would look like.
Near the end, in order to have a transition of sorts between the main menu and the gameplay, I created an animation of an initial meteor hitting a city paired with an animation of a shield being projected in response. And next.
Yes, our demo.
This is Meteor Defense. In this game, the player moves the shield with the WASD keys in order to intercept falling meteors before they hit cities or the planet. Intercepting meteors grants points, and meteors can be preemptively intercepted by pressing the spacebar to temporarily raise the shield. If meteors manage to strike cities or the planet, points are deducted. The play ends when all cities are destroyed, or when the player decides to quit. If the player manages to get a new high score, they are able to submit that to the device leaderboard. A main difficulty in developing this game was adhering to scope, as we had several ideas that we wanted to have realized, but only so much time to do so. To overcome this challenge, we made sure to meet up whenever we could, to take note of progress and to manage priorities in game features and art assets, and being intentional on development decisions.
My difficulties and ultimately successes working on this project had to do with refining workflows and learning new techniques. I did most of my modeling in Blender, making prefabs and prefab variants for the cities and the meteors, then importing them into Unity. I ran into trouble with my workflow when I created a planet in Blender with geometry nodes, which could not be read by Unity. This frustration, however, led me to learn how to use Polybrush to create a new planet from within Unity, so there would be no trouble texturing and detailing from within the program itself. I utilized AI art generation for inspiration and texturing some of the models. Once I had the new planet designed, I was able to connect the UI thematically, something I hadn't been able to do up until this point, as I didn't feel we had a solidified style to the game yet. I did the majority of my UI work within Figma. Please ignore the absurd amount of font samples. And once we had finalized all of the models that were going to be used, I utilized decimation to keep the poly count on the whole low for the project.
And so, as a result of our hard work and determination, we managed to finish developing the game to a state that we're happy with. And this is our development timeline, starting from March 9th to April 23rd. We had the ideation and planning meetings between March 9th to March 17th. From March 17th to April 8th, I worked on gray boxing the play area, positioning the UI, and writing the main scripts, such as movement and city spawning, whereas Arielle worked on conceptualizing the visual aspects of the game, taking inspiration from AI art, as well as creating the prototype assets.
From April 8th to the 21st, I iterated on the planet asset, as you saw, which was a frustration, but ultimately I really do feel like I learned a lot through that frustration and that roadblock I ran into. I textured and upped the prototype integrity, started adding textures, and generated 1 million skyboxes, and we chose our favorite, most colorful one.
And from April 21st to 23rd, I replaced the placeholder models with those that Arielle created. Created the animations used in the transition between the main menu and gameplay, finished the scripts for the remaining MVP elements, and refactored those scripts within the time I had left. Arielle herself finished and put in the UI graphics, added the background music, and made sure that the shield looked great, thus capping off the development period. Next. Next steps would be adding features like compatibility with other input devices, UI showing how close meteors are to landing, visual effects in response to meteors landing, and alternative models to show the health of cities.
We would also like a check to prevent city spawn overlap. We did have some issues where the city bases would sort of touch and get a little too close to each other. Different effects for different meteor types. I don't know if you saw, but we did have 3 different colored meteors. Those were each supposed to do something different. We didn't get to do that. And boss meteors that we could add in that would be a little bit more finicky, a little more difficult. And ultimately, we would love to release this on itch one day. Next slide. Thank you.
Regarding personal future plans, I plan on applying for more jobs and updating past projects to put on my resume. I learned a lot from this bootcamp, such as making good use of collaboration tools, how to perform a proper sprint, debugging and optimization, and I hope to put all that to good use.
As far as my future plans, my current job, I'm very lucky, allows me to continue learning, continue growing, and continuing to create my own work. So I'm going to be working a lot in VR, working a lot with assets and 3D modeling, and just learning how to make things scarier. I think Ash and I are very much on the same page. As a big horror nerd, and I've got my own project that I would love to do while I work this job right now. Thank you so much, you guys. This was really wonderful, and thank you so much for being here. This is our contact info. Give us an email.
Awesome work. Cool. Thank you both. I can say I've never seen a 3D version of a game like this. Like, it reminds me of like Brick Attack. I don't know. I might be saying my age a little bit, but it gave me like standard gameplay of Brick Attack, but in a 3D space. And I was like,
oh, for sure. There were a lot of retro games sort of crept their way in there a little
bit.
Yeah.
Okay. I was just like, am I old, or am I the only one that's getting like the retro vibe as well? But I mean, it's a great genre to fall into. So absolutely great work. I love how you guys were able to make everything, you know, from your storyboarding and like gray boxing to like seeing it go from that to like it's alive and it's a planet with like the city models. I think that was a great addition to your pitch to really help us understand like your development phase as well. So great work, great pitch. The industry question that we have for you all is mainly focused on your target player that you all were focusing on when you were developing this game. And really just seeing what was your thought process towards who would the target player be for this game experience? And then how did you align key features of this project to fit that demographic and what those players would be looking for?
So determining our target demographic came when we decided to look at Missile Command as an inspiration. So from that decision, we decided our target would be people interested in retro games like that. Part of aligning our key features for that target audience was doing what those types of games did with like leaderboards, or keeping the gameplay simple, but changing the situation around that gameplay in order to affect difficulty.
And also aligning our key features was about making good differences to those retro games, like giving the player more agency by allowing them to raise their shield to preemptively intercept meteors with, more interesting modern day vision. Can I say modern day? Modern day visuals, while still keeping that same sense of learning the rules and that same sort of slowly growing hectic tension pace, that retro players I know enjoy and love and seek out.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that was a great call out. And I saw in the chat, moving away from like the retro game experience into current state, future state, Will threw in there that this would be a very cool project to kind of port to VR. And Arielle, I saw you chime in, but being able to like manipulate it with maybe hand tracking or even a controller moving it in like 3D space, that could appease to both audiences, the retro gamers and like the current and future gamers as well.
Oh, so yeah, that was brought up very early in the development cycle, very, very early. We had brought up the idea of just doing that, and we decided we had already done a whole bunch of scope creep that we didn't want to overdo it and stick to something that was challenging, but we knew we could get done in 4 weeks.
Absolutely. Well, great pitch, both of you all. There's definitely scalability with a project like this where you all have created a very strong foundation. For everyone watching, if you're interested in getting in contact with either Michael or Arielle, both of their contact information is on the screen. Michael is looking for job opportunities, so if you wanted to connect with him about possible job opportunities or more industry level mentorship, you can reach out to him. Arielle, I'm so sorry, I'm spacing on. I know you have a career, so mentorship opportunities and just getting connected within kind of like the industry.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very interested in the XR industry. That whole world is what I am just starting to get into, and that's my future. So if anybody wants to just talk AR, VR, I am here for it 100%.
Perfect. Well, thank you both. I will send you backstage, but fantastic pitch. And we're very excited to see where this project moves in the future.
Thank you so much.
All right. There we go. So moving right along, our next pitch for Pitch Day is by Julio Serrano. It's entitled VR Retail Experience. So Julio, I see you're already on stage. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks, Monday. And you're doing a good job so far today. Just letting you know.
Oh, thank you. My palms are still sweaty. I'm waiting to like fumble and drop the ball on the 1 yard line, but I appreciate it. But we are very excited, to hear about VR Retail Experience. We have some gifts already on screen, so I'm already completely like invested in, this and excited to hear more. So I will turn the floor over to you, and you have the floor.
So, hi everyone, my name is Julio Serrano, and I made a solo project called VR Retail Experience. And I use it to really seek to imagine a potential future for what online shopping, whether in games or for brand activations, could look like. But before I get started, let me briefly introduce myself in the next slide. Yep, so I'm an XR developer. I grew up in Southern California, but currently live in New York City. And I am seeking a full-time dev role job in XR or first-person gaming, training, or simulations. And currently, I am a Unity development and design intern at Rome 149, which is a New York City-based startup that creates immersive treadmill experiences, as you can see in the images below. And you can't see it on this slide, but I have had the opportunity to also prototype a New York City Museum virtual tour, thanks to the help of CircuitStream. And before that, I previously worked for L'Oreal, the beauty company, in different types of consumer experience marketing roles. And it was really that background in retail and e-commerce, seeing the market growth of XR use cases, and my newer experience with Unity that made me want to pursue and think of this project. My mindset really is, how does XR elevate life for the user, not just create something for the sake of hype? Next slide, thanks. Yep, and this project is a VR apparel store simulator where users can peruse different clothing, but can only buy select items. A floating bot floats around to really guide the user to different store areas, including an athletic area that features a basketball game. I purposefully kept this project slightly broad because it could serve as a unique VR experience tied to commerce for a clothing brand, tied to a retailer, or even fit within a larger metaverse world, such as Meta's Horizon world. Next slide. Yep, and when thinking about this in the research phase, I saw that VR users are young, continue to grow, and generally come from households with disposable income. So when I selected the users to test it out with, I included people that were Gen Alpha, Gen Z, and also younger millennials. And to create just a baseline user story, the user is Emily. She's 18 years old from New York City. She likes to play VR games while she grew up playing either Roblox or Fortnite. And she also loves to shop online and be on social media. Next slide. So for my dev journey, I try to prioritize scripts and assets that help guide the user through the store with an assistant bot to make sure it was a pivotal experience, not to make sure the user got lost once he or she entered the world. I also prioritize the wallet system because when the user starts the game, he starts with a $100 balance to spend on these clothes, which can always be checked by pressing a controller button. And then the price of each purchasable clothing item is visible in the game so he can understand how it affects his wallet. And then just one of the backlog decisions I decided to scratch off was a clunky UI watch interface, which I ended up realizing was not really adding to the experience and made it slightly more confusing. Next slide, please. Yep, so here's a quick timeline of the project. And for further context, I've been working full-time while taking this bootcamp and working on this. So January and February were really the research and ideation phases. I ultimately decided on apparel as my shopping category because it's fun, it's easy to understand, and it's more universal. In March was really the first prototype for scripting interactions, movement, and ultimately thinking about final store design, which was super important to make sure that the user understood where to move. And then April, I really took in more user feedback as people tried the game, tried the experience, further optimized. And then right now in the month of May, I'm still currently exploring how to make the experience more immersive, including exploring multiplayer. Next slide. So right before I play the demo video, I'm going to reiterate the basics. User starts with $100, is guided by a bot to different store areas. There are two main scenes for now, an indoor store area and also an athletic store area, which includes a basketball game that can give you more money to your wallet if you make a shot. And then finally, you go to checkout where it summarizes all the clothes you bought to really end this experience for you. So you can go ahead and click play.
Hello there. My name is Sam and I will be your shopping guide. In this store, you will find multiple types of clothes with their prices listed as well as a buy now button. When you click buy now, the item will appear at the cash register. Once you are finished shopping, you may click checkout at the cash register. Click the secondary button on your controller to see how much money is left in your wallet. Now let's get started. Go to the hat area to try one on. Welcome to the hat station. Use either your ray on your left hand, or directly use your right hand and place the hat on your head. After you are done perusing, please proceed to the shirt area behind you. This area is one of my favorites. Check out that rose shirt. Go to the entrance doors to enter the athletic area of the store.
I can't decide what to buy. Hopefully Sam can help me after you. Splendid shot.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, so before I get to the takeaways here, just some of the technical details. So for the currency system, I track the wallet value, apparel item value, and checkout register values across scenes with arrays and scriptable objects. The assistant bot uses a combo of a nav mesh, follow scripts, and location-based colliders to make sure the audio triggers. And then for the basketball section, uses a coroutine to call effects when a shot is made, player pref to save basket scores, and also just a collider to make sure that the basket counts when it's made. I also use the XR interaction toolkit, and you briefly also saw a quick NPC interaction. So the NPCs were used using a Ready Player Me API. Because I decided on that because their avatars are more detailed than other assets. Plus, they have better customization features, and I learned about using them through my current internship. I also use Mixamo integrated animations that switch different state machine animations from idle to walking or talking. Next slide. Yep. And finally, we have the takeaway. So for results, I always had the goal and the target to follow the requirements of the Oculus Quest 2, which just included targeting the 72 FPS and having less than 1 million triangles. Users were also, when I tested it, able to tell which apparel was interactable and purchasable, versus which was not. Some of the challenges were that some users prefer to move with teleport while others with continuous movement. So I decided to add a quick button press submenu that allows you to switch between the two. Another challenge was that initially the bot movement was not as smooth with just scripting. So I learned about nav mesh to not only smoothen the motion, but also help the assistant bot avoid obstacles throughout the store. And I also decided to use audio instead of text because it would feel more natural and just be less clunky, less reading for the user. And then finally, for next steps, I'm thinking of building more store area scenes to increase apparel catalog options and also increase minigame options. And also look at multiplayer networking just to see what it will look like to have other live users shopping at the same time in the store experience with you. Next slide. Yep, that's it. That summarizes it all. Thank you so much for your time. Again, I'm looking for a full-time XR dev role in gaming, training, or simulations. And I look forward to answering any questions.
All right. Very cool, man. Yeah, I think Indica beat me to the punch as usual, but your light baking to make everything really come alive is like superb, man. Like great work with your lighting because that is a beast to get done right. Yeah, excellent pitch. I saw in the chat as well, like apparently you have like a side market option to make like a Funko Pop version of Sam. I think by far it wins hands down. It's like the favorite character of pitch day. It like the chat blew up as soon as we saw Sam, and it's just like, we want one. How do we get one? So great pitch. The question that we have from the industry for you was really looking at like the market placement of your project. So as you expand on the project, and you kind of hinted to it when you were talking about like your industry experience and everything like that, but where do you see the final version of this project fitting in? Do you see it as more of like a casual gaming experience that entails shopping? Do you see it more of like a life simulation, kind of like you create a character and this is just your initial build out of like the shopping aspect of a bigger project? Or do you see this as a direct plug-in to like, you know, a VR commerce option for like Target or JCPenney or some of these clothing stores to be able to shop in the VR space, and then your actual physical clothes get delivered in a different method?
Yeah, it's kind of a mix of both. So I can definitely see it as an e-commerce experience activation for brands like Nike, or even retailers like Nordstrom, Sephora, Amazon. Kind of like how many brands have shoppable Instagram pages. This could be a shoppable 3D world linked to the brand or linked to the retailer, where you could even, depending on how customizable they want to make the experience, they could make it so that whatever you buy virtually for your avatar can also be delivered to your home in the physical world once integrated with specific e-commerce API integrations. Or this could also be part of a greater metaverse experience. So like I think I briefly mentioned, it could fit into like Meta's Horizon world, since that world is more of a social VR world that has many sub universe or experiences within it. So it could be another vertical within that metaverse space for Meta to explore a commerce option that links it again to their avatars, which they care a lot about. Ultimately, it's really for like the consumer. The consumer could be both a gamer who happens to shop online, or just people who shop online that are becoming more and more tech savvy. Either way, I'm just trying to think of a new way that people are going to engage with apparel or other exciting shopping categories.
Very cool. Very cool. I did also want to point out, it might have just been like one of my handicaps when I first started doing VR development, but you have a mirror in your project, and mirrors for me were like one of the most difficult concepts for me to understand and like get working the right way the first time I started jumping into VR. So you get like a round of applause from me for having a functioning mirror, because that was like the bane of my existence for weeks when I was first starting, was like, why won't this work the way I need it to work? But great, excellent pitch. For everyone watching, if you want to get connected with Julio, like he said, he is looking for job opportunities. So his email as well as his LinkedIn is on the screen if you want to connect with him about job opportunities, or just to keep up with like this project or other things that he's working on. Julio, thank you so much again for participating in Pitch Day, and I will send you backstage now.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Monday.
Thank you. All right. And our final pitch for today, you know, last but definitely not least, is our second group project of the day. This is actually our largest group of the day as well. They call themselves Thank You 5, but it is a group made up of 4 learners, Molly Carroll, Steve Rector, Leonardo de Andrade, and Owen Lin. And their pitch is entitled Galactic Food Truck Simulator. So Thank You 5, I will welcome you all to the stage now.
Well, hello.
Hello. All right, the gang's all here. I had to do a head count as you all were rolling in to make sure I got you all. How are you all feeling?
Excited.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, very excited to be
The
here.
projects have been amazing.
Absolutely. Well, I will not take up any of you all's time. The floor is yours, and we're excited to see your pitch.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Well, thanks, Monday. My name is Steve from Thank You 5 Games. We are so excited to be here with you all today. I quickly just wanted to say thanks for coming to hang out with us today and seeing some of these awesome games. We really do appreciate you being here. I also just want to give a quick shout out to the other members of the cohort for the awesome work they've done. The projects all look great, and I think it's a real testament to how much we've all learned as a group during the process of going through this program together. So very well done. With that said, my name is Steve, as mentioned. We are Thank You 5 Games, and this is Galactic Food Truck Simulator. We can go to the next slide. We'll be going over the game a little bit more in depth shortly, but first, just wanted to talk about the group as a whole. So who is Thank You 5? We're a collective that was paired up for the midterm and stuck together for the long term. Through a successful set of agile sprints, a combination of varied skill sets and shared interests, Thank You 5 keeps us creating, communicating, and curious. And you might be wondering at this point, who are the individuals of Thank You 5, even though they are right in front of you. We will tell you anyway. You can go to the next slide. And we'll start with myself. My name is Steve Rector. You can click it again, Monday. I am looking for full-time engineering roles within the game industry. For the project itself, I focus mainly on engineering, UI and UX design, sound effects, various bug fixes, and refactoring the code base to ensure we adhere to as many solid principles as possible during the project. And I'll pass it over to Molly.
Thanks, Steve. I am Molly, and I'm a certified associate programmer for Unity, and I'm looking for a world design and or world dev position. In addition to focusing on asset creation, world design, and environment optimization on this project, I also got to work on creating some custom scripts of the assets that add that charm and life to our world. So take it away, Owen.
Thanks, Molly. My name is Owen, and I am looking for full-time work as an engineer or a developer in the video game space or interactive arts space. For this project, I was mainly responsible for creating the database and implementing it and weaving it into the various features of our game, as well as a bit of character and UX design. I'll pass it on to Leo.
Thanks, Owen. Hello, everyone. I'm back. For this project, my main contribution was building the skeleton of the game by implementing the main state machine, as well as creating a list of possible user actions to link to the narrator through the use of the observer pattern. I also developed the tutorial for the game. Next slide.
Awesome. Thanks, y'all. So what was our mission? Our mission was to bring the player in as a new employee for our intergalactic drive-through where they will complete customer orders for all sorts of beings and species from across the galaxy. There are, of course, other expectations that come with the role, like translating foreign alien languages, squishing nasty bugs, and, as with any good job, saving the universe. Next slide, please.
So you may be wondering what happens in a day at the Galactic food truck. Like Steve mentioned, you will have to fulfill customer orders. Oftentimes that will require translating their orders from their language to your language. As well, a bit of housekeeping stuff like, stepping on bugs. And last but not least, the most saving the universe by holding on to the big red button. All that sounds great, but it looks even better. So we have a demo prepared for you.
This is our state-of-the-art food truck facility, serving many spacefaring communities across the far reaches of the Rift. We are equipped with the finest tech GastroCorp has to offer, from the robust language database of the Translate-O-Matic to the real-time order identifier systems of the Replicator Foodiator 4000. Helping your delightful customers clamoring at the drive-thru window has never been easier. Our AI supervisor systems maintain order and offer motivational support over the comm system.
Someone's coming up to the window. Hello.
Don't worry. They will enforce a system-wide shutoff of the universal peace button if you haven't helped a customer.
Well, it's been a good run, but if you don't do anything about it, the universe is going to explode.
A happy customer is a happy AI.
Oh yeah, it's time for some food.
Hey all, we are the devs behind the fine technology of GastroCorp. We're going to pop open the hood and give you a quick tour on how things work. As you saw, one of the player's main tasks is prioritizing the many unique customers. The logic here is a state machine that controls when the customer is waiting in line, ordering, and leaving. Each customer you see is the same prefab, populated by information stored in scriptable objects. Structured this way, we can efficiently add new customers, each with unique models, voice clips, and food orders. Efficient access to the customer information is essential for communication with the Translate-O-Matic, which I'll pass over to Owen to tell you more about.
Thanks, Molly. Now, oftentimes, the customer will order in an alien language. To be able to understand, the player must consult our spiffy translator. I implemented a SQL database to organize all of the customers' orders and their numerous translations. This was done for scalability, giving us the option to add new orders and languages simply by including new voice clips and database entries without ever having to modify the code. You just interact with the knob until it spits out a language you know, and then head on over to the replicator to fill the order, which Steve can explain.
Thanks, Owen. The food replicator is where you can retrieve the order for the customer. I built this leveraging WorldSpace UI so that the player could have an interactable interface to keep them immersed in the world rather than taking them out to a separate menu. The items are created with serializable objects for scalability, and they contain various pieces of data, including a unique ID. This ID is what we use in the game manager's logic to match the order and the customer. Selecting wrong will let you try again, and selecting correctly will allow the order to be given to the customer. I also built in multiple menu types, such as a 2-item menu, a 4-item menu, etc., so that the difficulty of the component of the game is easily scalable. And with that, I'll pass it on to Leo, who has some additional things to show.
Hey, that last one was really weird, right?
Thanks, Steve. In this dark room, you will encounter the Save the Universe button. I implemented a simple counter for the green bar to tick down, threatening the end of the universe. In order to prevent that from happening, the player has to hold on to the big button on the right. However, that can only be done if no customer is waiting. As soon as one shows up, they become the priority. Lastly, the player has to step on these bugs that show up randomly. I created a basic AI class for the bug to always go to a different location in the scene. If the stress bar fills up, or if the universe explodes, the player loses and is taken to the high score screen. From all of us at Thank You 5 Games, thanks for watching.
Awesome. It brings a smile to my face seeing that every time. I'm so proud of all the members of the team. It was really a pleasure working with everyone here. We're just going to take you through a quick look into our timeline from start to finish of this project and where we are now, starting with pre-production. We began by forming this group of hardworking developers that I now have the privilege of calling friends. We moved on to the ideation phase, where we were able to form and expand upon various potential ideas and concepts for the game. We then moved on to paring down those concepts into a vision that matched up with what we were looking to do with our project. And then finally, during the pre-production phase, we came together one more time to develop the minimum viable product and what would define success criteria for the project that we are trying to make.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so to make the most efficient use of our time, and also to help us with the scope creep that everyone has been talking about, also from having too much fun on this project, we divided our production time into 4 sprints over the 4 weeks. So each sprint is built on the structure established from the previous sprint, and our through-line goal was to ensure that the separate mechanics that were managed by a state machine, but were each built individually by one of us, worked in sync the way that we had planned them to. So, and that also went for ensuring that prefabs and assets were organized and managed well, for clean model updating and batching. That was another thing we wanted to incorporate discussions and implementations of optimization techniques early on in the development process. And so finally, we arrived at that closed game loop that ran smoothly and it was super exciting. And so visual design and polishing rounded out that final sprint. And we ended that with a feature code freeze. And then it was on to QA and polishing.
Yeah, so once we were done with all of our sprints, we looked at our game and we're like, okay, we're gonna squash some code bugs. So we spent a bit of time just ironing out some bugs that slipped through our sprints, as well as prettying up our 3D models and our lighting effects and everything, just to make it a presentable game, the presentable game that you see today.
Which takes us to where we are right now, which is this last build that you were all able to see during the demo, which, like all of us have said, we're very proud of. We also want to do a team retrospective soon. So what worked, what didn't, what we would do differently, as the process, because of course the game, we can still change. And we've already begun some work on publishing. We have an account with Steamworks that we want to kind of polish a little bit of what needs to be polished, like creating a credits scene, as well as some minor settings that we have to adjust. But once we do, and once we publish, which is what we plan to do, we can go ahead and just celebrate.
Yeah.
So yeah, what are the next steps for us? And sorry, Monday, if you have a chance to switch over to the next slide. I am talking over you, Owen. Go ahead.
Yeah, so some of the challenges and takeaways of throughout this project, and we have a bunch of them. The biggest challenge being we had to insert a tutorial level into our gameplay loop, which was already like sort of solidified with all our state changes and stuff. So that was a bit of work just to make that work with all of our game states. Another one was being like trying to decide the best implementation for stuff like the order functionality, which would seamlessly integrate our customer variables as well as translator variables, which sort of led to the creation of this usage of this database, which sort of ties into how we optimize our memory usage throughout gameplay, because we didn't want to load like 1 billion voice clips into the game on runtime. Some of the takeaways was that we all learned a lot as a team. We were able to just jump out of our comfort zone and like do things that we'd never like done before. Like Leo and I worked with Blender for the first time to make some of the 3D models. Molly, who like at the start of this boot camp was not familiar with scripting, ended up making our customer like states, like the entire state machine for our customer. Steve built the world space UI out of nothing. It's yeah, I'm very proud of what our entire team was able to do. Now on to Molly for our next steps.
Yeah, I was too excited. This is what I jumped over Owen about. So thank you, Owen. And after this thrilling adventure that we've had, what's next? As a crew, like Leo mentioned, we'd love to just continue sharing this game with as many people as possible, not just because we think it's a ton of fun, but the user feedback that we have received so far has been invaluable. We've already been able to take some of that feedback and incorporate it into polishing mechanics and features and the visuals as well. And yeah, so we have begun the process on Steam, so keep an eye out on the shelves for Galactic Food Truck Simulator. And following that, we just would like to share some additional content and packages that are based on the growing lore that we have for this game. And as individuals, our next big step is landing these game dev jobs. You know, we're really proud of, and yeah, I'm so proud now. I'm getting emotional about my team. But I'm proud of everything that we've accomplished, and we look forward to continuing these adventures wherever they take us. So on the last slide we have here, I just want to reiterate, thank you again for spending this time with us. And please feel free to reach out if you'd like to know about each one of us, or even ask us what's our favorite thing on the menu. So thanks.
All right. Well, I will start us off by apologizing. I'm not sure why there was so much of a delay with some of those slides, but I promise I was changing the slides on time. Like on my end, it seemed like there was like a 20-second delay in between like next slide. I was like, Steve is gonna go ballistic on me if I don't change the slides.
No worries. you did fine, man. We did just fine.
Perfect. Well, I mean, the pitch is amazing. I think the lore that you all have created, and I mean, even looking at this, like whatever bowl of gummy stuff is that looks delicious and would definitely be ordered at a Galactic food truck. So I applaud the amount of work that you all were able to do. Just from working with you, Molly, I know that storytelling is like one of your things, and I could definitely tell that there was like a story behind this. But great work, all of you all, for sure. So because you are a larger group, we did have 2 questions for you all from the industry partners. So if 2 of you want to tackle the first one and 2 want to tackle the second one, that works out great for me. The first question that we had was really about their overall goals and visions. So because you're a group and because this project in essence seems very well thought out and it has one goal that you're trying to accomplish, was there stages of development where you guys had to kind of, wrestle with goal changes or scope creep or overall vision changes? And how did you manage those changes, whether it was to completely ignore them or to kind of like and what is it called, incorporate them into the product that you were able to show today?
Yeah, for sure. I think, as a group of ambitious and creative developers, which I believe all the members of this team are, there were a lot of feature ideas. And as I'm sure you can imagine, that came with a lot of opportunity for scope creep to come in. So I think we handled that very well overall. We did a lot of that work during the pre-production phase and the development of the MVP concepts, kind of bringing ideas in, trying to establish the level of difficulty versus level of importance and prioritizing that way. The second way we did so was weekly throughout the project. We met once a week every Monday, and then sometimes after class on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And during those times, we would kind of revisit what we were working on during that week, see if we had maybe miscalculated the time frame or if it's more complex than we had thought. And then we would pivot from there and pare down things as needed. One just concrete example to give is with the bugs themselves. Actually, originally we had this idea of having a separate room that was kind of like a almost first-person shooter kind of deal where you're shooting at the bugs that we were excited about. And then, midway through, we came together and, we're like, I don't know, time's wearing down pretty quick here. So we pivoted as a group there and came up with what I think was an awesome solution instead of having that stomping part of the game in order to keep that chaos without, overstretching us too thin. Does that help answer your question?
Yeah, definitely. If anyone else wanted to chime in as well, I'll definitely leave the floor open.
Yeah, I'd like to echo what Steve said, and along with that, the practice of communicating with each other, I think, and communicating between multiple project management tools. In our case, the specific case, it was Unity, using agile methods on ClickUp and GitHub for version control. I think it really helped internalize the sense of ease around adapting to changes. And because we've also discussed this a lot as a group, that change is not only inevitable as we grow and as the project grows, but it's also an essential part of the iterative process. So having the grounded perspective around either joining an existing project or building one from scratch, like we did in this case, knowing how to manage those goal changes by following the framework that was created has definitely built that sense of comfort around adapting and moving forward alongside the change instead of kind of fighting against it or moving against it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you touch on a very good point. Past life Monday, when I was at the hospital of process improvement management, like change is hard and change sucks. And it is kind of just echoing what you were saying. It's one of those things where you have to accept the fact that it's going to be there, but it's how you deal with it. And you guys did a great job dealing with change. I feel like enough sci-fi movies and books have told us that firing a gun in the vacuum of space does not end well. So I'm happy you decided to go with stomping on the bugs instead of shooting them, because that could have been a whole nother concept that you had to explore. The second question that we have really just focuses more on like you all specifically and kind of how you broke down the responsibilities to create this project. So you talk about the beginning, how you guys each kind of had like your own roles, but then you also talk about how you guys kind of pushed each other to stretch your limits. But how did you actually definitively decide who would be responsible for like what aspects of the game? And then ultimately too, since this is a project group, did you guys have to, elect a leader to kind of lead some of those conversations or to lead the discussion around like key features that would be in the MVP?
Yeah, so we didn't really have like a set leader. I think we were all very equal in our input into the design of this game. So when we started planning and for our first sprint, we began with, okay, what is everyone comfortable with doing? And then we assigned tasks based on that. And then as the sprint went on and like our game sort of like came to life and solidified, we went with, okay, what does everyone want to try? And that sort of like opened the door for us to like try things we had never done before or never been exposed to before. And it was great. And especially with our team, we never felt like we had just thrown ourselves off the deep end. We would always have each other's backs. We would like be able to answer any questions that anyone else on the team had. It was just overall, we had a very cohesive team, and it was great working with everyone.
Yeah, and I think we got really lucky that all of our skill sets and personalities honestly complement each other in a way. And so, like Owen said, it was just a well-oiled machine from the beginning. I think we had the idea for the game after a long Discord session of just brainstorming. We had it in like, a day, and we were just like, all right, we have it. We know what we need to do. Let's go get it. And so we divvied up in a way that everyone felt comfortable. So the question was, what are you comfortable with doing? What do you want to take? Like, I know no one's going to touch 3D world design because Molly's a magician. So like, why would we go there? And because this was a capstone project, we wanted to make sure, assignment wise, that we had a project that was done, and we had something that was a game that we could submit if needed. And what's great about this group is that we had that in about 2 weeks, and we looked at each other and we're like, all right, are you guys ready to go ahead and publish this game? It's not just like, let's get 100%. It's let's aim to publish it. Let's make it a whole game up much better, right? Like when we closed the loop, we didn't have the bugs, but we had many bugs, but not the bugs that were crawling. And so we went ahead and we were like, we need another element of chaos. So the question was at that point, like Owen said, what are you uncomfortable with? Because at the end of the day, this is a boot camp. This is a learning opportunity. And so if you're not trying to push yourself to learn something that you're not comfortable with, then what are you here for, really? And I think that we were all able to do that very well. And I can extend that for everyone in the cohort as well. I think everyone took a lot out, as shown today by all the projects.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that is the mic drop statement of the event. Like, you're doing this boot camp to learn and to grow and to push your limits. And if you're not doing that, like, what are we doing? So, fantastic job. Thank you, Five. I think that's an awesome name. I think you guys had an awesome pitch. I would love to play it. I am a language buff. So the fact that you guys have a language decoder means that I will spend endless hours trying to make sense of gibberish.
You won't.
And
you won't get it. You won't get it.
Good luck.
Well, Owen has the book somewhere. So
I gotta get the book.
It's in here. I've forgotten half of it already.
Everything is just a pattern. Once you figure out the pattern, you can figure out anything. But for everyone watching, if you want to get connected with any member of Thank You Five, they are all open to new positions and looking for new roles in game development. Their information is on the screen here. Thank you, Five. Thank you again. And I will send you all backstage, but fantastic pitch.
Thanks all. I think our LinkedIn's are in the chat as well, as just a heads up since they're not on the screen.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Can I get out of here?
All right. And I will invite Arky and Tyler back on stage. Oh, beat me to it. There they are.
We're here. Well done, everyone. That was amazing.
That was so good. Yes, thank you, everyone. And Arky, I should double check really quickly. Can you hear me okay? Since I was having some sound issues earlier, my microphone's okay. Perfect.
You're good.
Yeah, that was amazing. I'll quickly provide a little bit of information here about our global network for everybody who's in the audience. Monday, if you want to flip the one more slide there. So if you're interested in joining our global network, these are the types of partnerships that we harbor here at Circuit Stream. We are currently interested in securing some capstone project partners for our upcoming cohorts. If you have any interest in participating with that, feel free to reach out to me directly. You can get me at the partners@circuitstream.com email. I was also going to encourage any of the students who are in the chat to just have a quick look at the questions tab. I saw before there was a few unanswered, but I believe they're all taken care of now. I think they've all been answered. With that in mind, if there is anybody in the audience, be it student, talent partners, anybody who's just taking a look and has some questions, feel free to reach out to us. Myself and Arkatyiis are happy to facilitate connections between everybody that's in attendance here today. So that's it from me. I just wanted to say a huge thank you. This was amazing. And with that, I'll let Arky close as well.
Oh, yeah, I just want to echo congrats, everyone. most of these learners that you saw are looking for jobs. So as Tyler said, if anyone is hiring, if anyone knows of anyone, any opportunities, thank you, Lucy, in the chat, posting some opportunities. Feel free to send them our way. We're more than happy to connect you with any of these learners, provide those warm connections. So just thank you so much for joining us. This was a lot of fun.
And thank you, huge thank you to Mondae as well. Your hosting abilities were unbelievable as normal, as we expected. But thank you for taking the lead on that today for the student projects. That was amazing as well. So
absolutely, I really appreciate the opportunity to come back.
Awesome. All right, well, we can leave it there. Feel free to join us for upcoming info sessions and workshops. You can check out our website, circuitstream.com, to see everything that we have on the go and coming up. And our next pitch day will be taking place likely in early fall, and we would encourage everybody to come back for that. So thank you so much. Happy Thursday, everyone, and have a great day.
Bye-bye.